Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be here. This is Alejandra, by the way. I'm here with Michelle Moore from Fenwick Pets. Michelle has been a Journey member really since day one. And when she joined, she was just starting off her journey to build Fenwick Pets, which I will let her chat about and explain a little bit more. And she's also a dear friend of mine, so I'm extremely happy to have her on the podcast today. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so happy you're here. So I obviously know who you are, but our audience doesn't. And I want to give you the opportunity to chat a little bit about yourself and, pre-Fenwick Pets.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to know about?
Actually, no, let's just, tell me a little bit about yourself and about Fenwick Pets, then we'll get into the past.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm an entrepreneur from Toronto. I started Fenwick Pets about 1.5 years ago during the pandemic. So it took quite a while to get off the ground, but we finally launched this past December. I am pretty new to this entrepreneurial journey, but I've been learning a lot along the way, especially with you together.
It's so fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
Friends.
Yeah, exactly. We are a pet company. We sell upscale pet beds and have just got into collars and leashes as well.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Increase the average order value.
That's right. You gotta try and increase the average order wherever you can. Figure already shipping a bed, can throw in a collar and a leash, no extra cost.
Very smart. You're gonna need to help me brainstorm how I can increase mine later.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so what were you doing before Fenwick Pets?
So I was actually in film and TV a lifetime ago. That's where I started my career right after school. So I worked at a post-production house for probably about 5 years. And it just wasn't the life for me. I was working in sales. It's a big grind, and it just wasn't really my passion in life.
Sorry, the dog literally just got onto the poof in the office, and that was unexpected.
She looks really cozy, so
she just wants to be at the same level as humans.
She wants to be surrounded by her people.
Oh, that's very cute. So we do have Zach's dog in the office today,
yes.
And she's also enjoying her Fenwick Pets bed that we'll show a little bit later.
Shout out to Shadow.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted. So you were in film.
Yeah.
And that was what you thought was your passion at some point in life.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Ryerson for film. So that is what I wanted to do with my life. I just wasn't sure exactly in what capacity. So I started out in post. I did want to be an editor, but then realized I didn't want to be locked in a room by myself for hours at a time. Mm-hmm. Like, I needed to be around people.
Yeah.
So I was working in sales, and that was too much people. So I needed a happy medium.
E-commerce is good.
E-commerce is good for that. But yeah, just the film culture is very much like there's a hierarchy. You are a cog in a much bigger machine, and you don't have a lot of agency. And it's difficult for a young person trying to find their footing when they're being, really segmented into this role and can't really, express themselves. It's just very old school that way. I wasn't really thriving and just had a lot of anxiety about the future and what I was going to do. And that kind of led me into my next career change, which was working on the music side of the industry.
Mm-hmm. A lot more aligned with the person that you are today that I know.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
I know.
I was working in music supervision for about 1 year, and it started off really great. It was really aligned with my passions. I'm a big music nerd, and it was kind of bringing both sides of my creativity together, which was film and music. And it was amazing, working with producers to find music for their shows and license them. It's very much left and right brain music, creativity plus the business side. Mm-hmm. And I love that aspect of it. But the company I was working for was just the worst, just bullied on an everyday basis. No. It was awful for my mental health.
Do you think that that's an industry thing that's just normal in that industry, or it was specifically that company?
I think it was specifically that company. And there was only 4 of us. They had worked together for 10 years, and I was the new person. So you just become like the scapegoat. It's very high pressure.
Yeah. And you also went then from going from like a big corporate, bigger sort of company to something smaller, which is interesting. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, basically, you can get lost in a bigger corporation and like not all the responsibility falls on your shoulders, which is good and bad. Because on the one hand, I felt like I didn't have enough responsibility, and then I go to the other extreme where it was like, if you make a mistake, the whole company can like fall under. So, and you know, that industry is very relationship based. So you want to maintain the best possible relationship with your directors and producers, or else they're going to go somewhere else. Totally. And yeah, so it was very, very high pressure.
And do you think, I don't want to lead with my question, but it sounds like maybe you're very entrepreneurial in that role versus the other one.
Yes, definitely. Like you're basically always looking for new business. With whatever shows are in town, you're trying to get them to work with you. And yeah, because it was a smaller company, it does feel like your own.
Totally.
Like you are trying very hard to keep this thing afloat, and it feels like you're always holding on by a thread. So
sounds like entrepreneurship.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you make the jump from film and music to then like now e-commerce? It sounds like it's such a stretch.
Well, something drastic happened, which is I got fired.
Woo!
Yep, got fired from that job, which was one of the hardest moments of my
you're young too, so
adult career life.
Young adult
career life. It was really, really hard because I had basically crawled my way for a year into this job, making connections and networking and
like your dream industry,
doing all I could to get into it. It was my dream job, and I got it. And then to be fired was like just a stab to the heart. It was awful.
I know, I can imagine.
But then a month later, they were trying to poach me back. So I knew it wasn't about me and my work. Yeah. It was them trying to figure out their own growing pains. But still, like at the end of the day, to be fired from anything.
I mean, the ego's the ego, and it will hurt.
It really sucked.
But I'm glad that at least they looked, that for you again, which is reassuring for sure. But it sounds like that was redirection anyway that you needed.
Oh, yeah. I said, hell no, I'm never working with you again. It was the worst experience of my life.
No, but in film and in music in general, not just them specifically.
Also
but also good to know.
Yeah, I did. I was very honest. Like, never again. I'm never doing that. But no, it was a good redirect away from that.
Yeah.
From a very, like, toxic few years to something different and something where I've grown to where I'm at now.
So, like, what was that? Because I know that your next thing was in e-commerce.
Yes.
Which led you to where you are today. But tell me a little bit more about, your first e-com job. What interested you about that? And, like, in general, it's just, like, such a leap, right? To go from...
Yeah, I was basically, like, looking for something that was maybe a bit related. But I also, I'd worked in film for, like, 6 years.
Yeah.
And I knew that the industry is like, especially in Toronto, it's good, it's there, but it's a bit like plateaued. Like,
got you.
A lot of places were struggling to stay alive. There wasn't a ton of money in it. So not that my ultimate goal in life is to make money, but it's very much like a slow climb to the top.
Totally.
And there wasn't that much money going around. So, it's just, I knew for a while that I probably didn't want to stay in it forever.
But also it sounds like, I don't know, when you were really, really passionate about something, it's like you see all those things and you're like, yeah. Like it sounds like you were just like, no thank you.
After I got let go, I was just like, this is how I saw my life in this industry. And now that I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not really something I can do on my own. Like, I can't go back to it. Like, that's it. This is the end of the road, which is kind of an extreme view, but
it is. And it's also, I can imagine that must have been really hard because you went to school for this, right? Like you really set off on this.
Yeah.
Path, this was your life.
This was my life for the last, 5-6 years. And all my friends were like still in it.
Yeah.
So to be the one that was like, okay, I'm going to branch out and do something different was scary. I felt like a failure. It felt like, I was giving up on this dream that I had since I was like a teenager. But it forced me to like reevaluate and be like, okay, do I want to be, kind of in this like toxic environment for the rest of my life?
Yeah, and this is really the career path that I want.
Exactly.
It sounds like no work-life balance also.
It was terrible in that respect. Yeah, definitely like work is life.
So tell me now about part 2 of Michelle's life.
So it gets better. This has all been very depressing, but I promise it gets better. But
it's good. Like, I feel like a lot of people listening also, and just conversations that I've had, there's so many people that want to pivot in their lives, but they're scared because they've invested so much time and energy into something specific in their career and their life. And
100%.
They come to this point where they're, trying to decide their next step, and it sounds really scary to put that all behind you. Like, you're an actual example of somebody who's done it and is very happy with those choices and making something out of it. So,
and sometimes it takes something like getting fired to make you be like, okay, maybe this is the good opportunity to try something completely different.
Yeah, you have to see things from the positive perspective as well, and it's hard when it's happening to you.
Very, very, very difficult. But yeah, I started looking for a new job, and I found this company, an e-commerce company, and they were like kind of aligned with music. They basically did what I like to describe as like rave clothing, like light up clothes that you would wear to music festivals. Which, the music aspect was there. It seemed very creative. And I thought, you know what, like, why don't I just try this out? It's like a growing industry, e-commerce, something that maybe I could build a future in. So I did that for a few months, and that was kind of my intro into that world. And it's funny working there. It was an entry-level position. I was like starting from ground zero.
Like relearning everything.
That's what's hard everything.
About pivoting too is that oftentimes you're going to go into a position where you're like entry level.
Exactly.
Even though you're A, older.
Yeah.
B, have a lot of work experience that just isn't super transferable. So.
Well, yeah. And I was like one of the oldest people working there. But in a way which was great, I caught on really quickly and became like indispensable to them.
Not surprised.
And thank you. And there just turned out to be a lot of overlap between what I was doing in my previous roles and this. And again, it was a lot of what I love, which is a combination of creative and business that I got to do every day. And that is kind of my perfect balance, is doing both. Like, I don't want to be all creative, all business. I need a combination of both. And kind of wearing many hats at once, which again is when you're an entrepreneur, you do everything.
But it sounds like then that was always within you.
Yeah.
It just took you you just had to go through that path to figure it out.
Exactly. So yeah, I spent a few months there and then kind of worked my way up to another job at another e-commerce company.
And it sounds like this one was a little bit more aligned with the things that you like, and as far as a brand and everything, like you could really be like like almost like an ambassador for that brand, right?
Yeah, 100%. It was like a natural skincare company, which is more in line with my interests. And I got like a managerial role there in operations. So learned a lot about like the back end of the business, and really about how to operate an e-commerce company, which gave me, in the end, the confidence to be able to do my own thing.
100%. And you did everything. Like, you were working with manufacturers, like everything from manufacturing to marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah. Technically, I was the director of operations, but really we were a 3-man show. So I wasn't doing like the day-to-day marketing, but I was helping with overall strategy. I was helping with manufacturing, all the fulfillment. Yeah. Every arm of the business I was involved in.
So a really funny side story is that when Michelle was the director of operations in that company, we pitched them as an agency, remember? We pitched them as an agency to do their marketing for them. And so we were both on this call acting like all professional.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're like friends, right? Behind the scenes. And we're on this like super professional call. It's just such a
it was
funny
weird.
thing.
It was weird.
The masks we wear, right?
I know.
Like when you're working for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's strange putting on your like business face.
My business face is on right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool though. I love that you went into that and you learned so much, and then now you're doing Fenwick. So then what leads you to Fenwick? I mean, it sounds again like you always had that little entrepreneurial fire, so it makes sense.
Basically, so pandemic started 2020.
Pandemic.
I know. We're back to a dark place.
Can't believe that happened.
But during that time, because we couldn't really see friends or do anything, my husband and I decided to take a trip out to Calgary to visit his brother and like kind of stay and live with them for about a month. And they had a dog and they had a cool bed. And I was like, wow, that looks great in your house.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that? And I said, oh, this like small little boutique that we found, happened by it. And that kind of just like jogged an idea in my brain of like having pet essentials and products that will like look good in your home. Because my parents and his parents have a dog and they have an ugly bed from Costco. No offense, Costco. I'm sure it's very comfortable.
Sorry, Costco.
But it's just like this ugly gray round cushion that you throw in the corner and hope like no one sees it. And a lot of my friends, and they live in like houses in the burbs. So like you have kind of space to like shove something in the corner. But a lot of my friends have pets and they live in condos in the city. And when you have a small space, I feel like you want everything to be an intentional part of your decor and to look good.
You're right. I've never thought about it that way. You're so right. Especially when you're living in a small space.
Exactly. Like if you can, you want it to, you know, match everything around you, or at least that's how I was viewing it. So I did some research and there weren't many other companies that were doing something similar. Specifically beds, because again, I looked at it as part of almost like your furniture.
Yeah. And you were also undergoing like a big project in your personal life with your husband.
Yes. So December 2019, we bought a house on the Danforth in Toronto, and it was a complete gut job, like basically unlivable.
We'll have to send pictures to the guys so they can put a little bit of it in here, because it's insane, like the befores and after.
The transformation is crazy. It was like a dark murder dungeon before, and now it was like a beautiful light modern house. So yeah, we spent 2 years in like renovation mode, and we always knew when we were done we would get ourselves a puppy. So throughout that experience, thinking about, again, future pet, we're building this beautiful house, I don't want to put an ugly Costco bed in our beautiful new home. I want something that looks like it's part of the decor of the house. So started building the house and started building Fenwick Pets at the same time.
No, that's such a cool story.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy because you, like, the company really just launched recently, but really only recently have you finished putting like the finishing touches on your home. So the timing is pretty crazy.
It kind of like began and ended together, which is kind of wild. And it's funny how like the early prototypes of the beds looked a certain way and kind of evolved into more of like sleek, modern pieces that kind of fit my house.
Aesthetic.
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly.
That's the best when you create a product that you know that you would like. It's really something that you love, that you're building, making it for you. You're solving your own problem.
100%. Yeah, I was basically solving it for me, and people hopefully like me. That you
have very good style. I will say that.
Oh, thank you.
Also, a really cool thing is that Michelle has personally, like, all the patterns that you see on the beds, she has designed all of that herself.
Yes.
Which is super cool. Like, you taught yourself graphic design to an extent. Like, tell me a little bit more about that, because I really admire the fact that you bootstrap a lot of your, I mean, I do too, but the level that you do things is like incredible. Like, I'm so bad with design. You're really kind of just teaching yourself all of these new skill sets, and really even, you've gotten so good at it that you even integrated that into your product, which is incredible.
I'm self-taught, taught everything. I'm doing everything myself at the moment. The design aspect was basically when I was still working in film. It was like a slow season. I had nothing to do at work, so I decided to like teach myself Illustrator. And spent like a month just doing tutorials and learning about design. And at the time I was working in sales and marketing, so I like, pitched it to my boss of like, hey, if I know how to use Illustrator, then I can design all of our marketing materials for like our events. And they bought it. Thank God. So I kind of had a foundation from that. And then I started using Figma for web design, and kind of I use it for everything. It's a really, really good app.
And I'll say this, as a person that has a company that is not, I don't feel like I'm very skilled at design at all. I outsource a lot of design help, and I could be saving so much money if I had that skill set, where I'm actually at a point I'm considering to just educate myself to learn how to do those things. It's such an important skill.
And once you learn like the basics, you can really do it all.
But tell me, like, I mean, and I feel like I have this answer, but I'd like to hear it from you. Like, as an e-commerce founder, in what instances are you using that skill set on your day-to-day?
Oh my God, I use it every day. I use it for emailers. I do all my own email marketing, which, you know, initially took a lot of time, but now I have a template I use, and it takes not a very long time to do it all. And then I use Klaviyo to actually...
Klaviyo is an email marketing platform.
Yeah.
For those of you listening who don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I use it for that. I use it for my website. I'm on Shopify and use a template, but as you know, like there's certain things that, you know, you have to design yourself on the website.
No, it's tough. You guys need to go look at fenwickpets.com.
Yeah.
And just take a look at the website and sign up to Michelle's email flows so you can see she's literally done everything herself, and it is incredible.
Yeah. And then also, with taking photos and content, like... just having an eye for that really and I'm not a professional photographer,
but you don't have to be.
Just doing everything myself at the beginning was really important, so that I think for me, like, I wanted to know the work and skill that went into every aspect, so that if I did end up outsourcing things, I would have at least some understanding of what I was paying for.
Yeah, you're 100%. You have better conversations with your freelancers, and also you're already knowing what's working.
Yeah.
And then instead of, you know, spending all this money on testing and learning with somebody else, you're doing that yourself, and you can scale and then invest in that outside. And
a good tip that I recently learned is, like, you can get a lighting kit from Amazon for like $120.
Michelle's going to help me with my photos.
It is not, it's an investment, but it's not crazy. So I got like lights and a backdrop from VizTech. Again, maybe it was $100, but you get a roll of white paper and you can do it on your iPhone. I happened to borrow an SLR camera from a friend.
Yeah.
So again, just saved so much money taking my own photos.
It's so true. And I was going to ask you, like, I'm kind of like already going into this question, but like, what is your favorite part of running your own business? And you did say like you're scratching the itch of like left and right brain, creative versus business. Like, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite? I feel like I can guess, but I'm not going to.
Actually, I'm interested in your guess, but I'll start with my most favorite, which is basically what you said. I get to do something different every day, which I do kind of love, the variety of the different tasks that I'm doing every day. I love the creative of putting together a website, of taking photos, and just kind of itching both sides of the brain, because I am very much like have a holistic skill set, so I do like using that on a daily basis. I hate coming up with marketing content.
Really?
Like, just the grind of like, what am I going to post to Instagram today?
Oh my God.
What TikTok video am I going to make? Like, just thinking about it. I just want someone to be like, take this picture and write this and make this, and I will execute it. God. But thinking about it, so it drains my soul.
I literally never would have thought that I would have guessed totally wrong. So you and I would make a perfect match if we worked together. I swear.
I already knew that.
I swear. I'm like execution. I'm like, oh
yeah.
Which is, it's bad because you need to execute.
I know.
But I'm very creative and I like to think about a million things. It's just then I just can't execute on it.
Yeah, you just give me ideas and then I will execute on them.
Honestly,
and you can give me your ideas too, and I'll make Everly videos.
Stop it. Don't tell me that.
But then just give me Fenwick ideas as well, so I don't have to think about it.
I'm happy.
It just like drains me that you have to be a content creator all the time.
When you're an entrepreneur, you need entrepreneur friends so that you guys can help each other out. Because it is true. Like, they say that a lot of entrepreneurs are generalists and they're not incredible at any like one specific thing. They're just good at everything.
That is me.
And that is me too. But there's definitely some things I'm a little bit better at than others.
Yeah.
And I'll say like strategy, thinking, high level, like those sort of things. But you can't just be that.
Yeah.
When you have a startup.
I know.
Especially when you're bootstrapping.
Unfortunately. Also, sales calls, they make me really scared.
Tell me about how your husband helps.
Well, so my husband has his own software company. and he's the CEO of a software company. So he, he has a lot of skills in sales, and it has a very like entrepreneurial mindset, which is great. So I make him do all my financial models because he went to school for business and I did not. So he really helps on like that side of things, which is amazing. I also really begged him to pretend to be me and use a voice altering software and talk to salespeople on the phone, but he said no, that I had to do it myself. So he doesn't help me with that, but he encourages me. He gives me tough love of, but you need to learn how to do it yourself.
It's very sweet.
Which is infuriating.
He does your numbers at least.
He does do my numbers, which is very helpful. I wouldn't know whether or not I was profitable if it wasn't for him.
And I'll say something. I didn't go to business school either, and I don't think. And there's so many people that haven't gone to business school that are incredible entrepreneurs, and I don't think that's like a prerequisite.
No,
but I think anybody can learn these things. But it's like it's amazing when you have people in your life who can help you. Like ultimately, it takes a village.
I would be able to do it. It would just be way harder.
You wouldn't be able to focus on the other things that you're doing now.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, so I think we have to wrap it up. Where do you see Fenwick in 5 to 10 years? Soon? Okay.
Yeah.
And should I be calling it Fenwick or Fenwick Pets?
What's the future of the company?
Yes, I have a couple closing questions. Fenwick Pets.
Fenwick Pets.
Okay.
He looks outraged.
So where do you see Fenwick Pets in 5 to 10 years? I actually have a list here that says closing, and those are my closing questions. So we'll just go there because we have like 15 minutes left?
An entrepreneurial podcast, but I kind of just see it like...
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
So just some context, I probably want to start a family soon.
Fenwick in 5 to 10 years? Which is another, should I be calling it
which
Fenwick
is another full-time job. So I basically, I want it
Pets.
to be at a place where it is running
So where do you
itself.
see Fenwick Pets in 5 to 10 years?
Still want to be like maybe a 1 or 2 man
controversial
show
for like
an entrepreneurial podcast.
but
I
making
kind of just see it like
enough of a profit for us to live our
so
lives.
just some context.
comfortably.
I
Like, don't
probably
see us like
start a family soon.
be a
Raising
mom.
money or anything, but
Which is another full-time job.
which is
having,
another
like, a
full-time
really
job. So I
healthy
basically
business. That
I want
can,
it to be at a place
run
where it
as-
is
as
running
also
itself,
running a family.
and
That's amazing. And
still want
the
to be
definition of
like
success is so
maybe a
different.
1
That's why
or
like
2 man
success
show.
to me, like the word is just such a weird word
yeah.
because everybody
But yeah,
has such a
making
different definition of
enough
what
of
that
a
means.
profit for us
For
to
you,
live our
that's
lives
success, and
comfortably.
that-
Like I don't
I'm sure a
see
lot of
us
people listening
like
to this relate to that. I would say
raising
that's
money or
success for me
anything,
too.
but
That's kind of how I see it
just
really as
having
well.
like a really
But there's some
healthy
other people out there that
business that I
raising
can,
that
you know,
VC money and having a full
run
team
as-
that's
and,
that's
which
also
is
successful.
great.
It's great. And that's
I've just seen the
amazing.
other
And
side of
the
it, like
definition of
my
success is
my
so you're
husband
right.
has-
That's why like
has done
success
it,
to me,
and
like the
he-
word is just such a weird word
Yeah.
because
You know,
everybody has
he
such
loves
a
his
different
company as his
definition of
baby.
what that
Like, he
means.
raised money,
For you, that's success.
he got
And
acquired,
yeah,
he has a
I'm sure
staff
a lot of
of
people
like
listening to
30
this relate
people,
to that.
and
I would say
it's
that
great,
that's success for
but
me too.
there's
That's kind of how
other
I see
problems
it really
that
as
come
well.
with that. So
but there's some other people
yeah,
out
I
there
kind of
that,
just want to
raising that VC
for
money
myself
and
by
having
myself
a
for
full
as
team
long
that's,
as I
which
can.
is
And
the best way to do that is
I've
to
just seen the other side of
keep it
it.
to
Like
yourself.
my
Yeah,
my
you're
husband
right. That's like the
has
one
done
thing
it,
that we
and
don't talk
he,
about a lot when you're raising money
you know,
from outside.
he loves
is
his
you really
company
are
as his
reporting to
baby.
people
Like, he
and-
raised money. He got acquired.
different.
He has a staff
You know,
of like 30 people.
investor
It's a different kind of
reports
it's
monthly.
great, but
Yeah.
there's
and I've
other
seen him go
problems
through
that
it.
come with
Yes,
that.
I know.
So
I remember talking to him
yeah,
about
I
that.
kind of just want to
at one point,
for
he's like,
myself
"Don't
by
raise money if
myself
you
for
don't
as
have
long
to."
as
Yeah.
I can.
And the best way to do
so
that is to
I teeter a lot with
keep
that
it to
idea,
yourself.
and I
Yeah.
still very much
right. That's
believe
like
that
the one
if I don't
thing
have to, I want to keep it all to myself.
raising
because
money from outside is you really are reporting to
just
people
wanna live a
and
peaceful life.
Yeah,
and have a
I
healthy
do.
business.
Different.
Is that
You
so
know?
hard to
Investor
it's a different kind of
reports
stress.
monthly.
Like,
yeah,
I
and
mean,
I've seen him
no,
go
I
through
think
it.
You're being
Yeah,
smart.
I
I remember
you know,
talking to him
You're
about
being
that.
really smart about how you're spending your
At
money.
one point, he's
and
like,
don't
"You're
grow
growing
in
in
a
a sustainable
sustainable
way."
way.
Yeah.
There's nothing
And
wrong with
so
doing that, and
I
I think
teeter
we're
a lot
seeing
with
a lot
that
more
idea,
companies now.
and I
Yeah.
still very much of the
heading
Yeah.
into
if I don't have
possibly
to,
like
I want to
hard
keep it all
economic
to
times.
myself.
Exactly.
Doing more of that because it's going to be difficult to raise money.
Live a peaceful life.
And that's one thing I
And
would
have a healthy
do.
business.
Is that so hard
suggest
to-
for people starting
to
out is
ask for?
trying
Like,
to do
it's
as
like-
much as you can.
I mean,
in-house.
I think you're being
to be able
smart.
to do
You're,
it.
you know.
So that was my
being
last
really
question
smart
for
about
you.
how you're
Yeah.
spending your money.
What advice would
and
you give
you're
to someone
growing in a
starting their
sustainable
own
way.
business
Yeah.
or thinking
Nothing
about starting
wrong
their own
with doing
business?
that. and
Yeah,
you're-
I
think
would
we're gonna
say,
start seeing
like,
a lot more companies
you
now
can
that
do
we're
more than you think.
heading
Yeah.
into possibly like hard economic
like I
times.
said, exactly.
Just doing more of that because it's
I
going to be
think
difficult
things
to
like
raise money.
photography can
And
be
that's one
really
thing I would,
daunting for some people, but
suggest for people starting
you know,
out
you can
is
get a kit from
try and
Amazon.
do
You can
as
take pictures
much
on
as
your
you can
iPhone and like
in-house if
totally,
you're able
you
to
can
do it.
edit them with free
So that was
software
my last
and
question
make them
for
look-
you.
Yeah,
What
good
advice
enough
would you
for
give
a
to someone
website.
starting
Like,
their own
not
business or
everything-
thinking
you don't have
about
to
starting
spend
their own
money on.
business?
Yeah, I
every
would say
single
like
thing to make things
you
look
can do more than you
professional right
think,
away.
and start investing in those things.
Like I said,
and again,
I
there's a
think
line.
things
like
like
photography can be
you know,
really
if you-
daunting
sometimes you
for
just
some
you need
people,
to
but spend
You know,
money
you can get
on
a kit from
professional
Amazon, you can
photos.
take pictures
It
on your
depends on the
iPhone,
product, but
and,
I've
like,
learned a lot from
you can
Michelle,
edit
and
them with free
especially that.
software,
Like I've made
yeah,
the
look
mistake. That's really good
good
advice.
enough
I've
for
made
a
the mistake of
website.
spending
Like,
money
not
outsourcing
everything-
a couple
you don't
of
have to
things
spend
that I'm
money
not
on
super happy with the
every single
results, and I
thing
feel
to
like
make
I
things
could have
look
just
professional right
done
away
certain
and
things
start
for myself.
investing in those things.
And it
like,
hurts because every
And
dollar
again,
counts
there's a
when you're
line,
so
like,
small.
you know, if
I know.
you sometimes you just
Yeah,
you need
so
to
that's extremely
spend money
good
on
advice.
professional
I have a
photos.
lot to learn from
It
you.
depends
I'm
on the
excited
product,
to come
but
over to
I've
your
learned
place
a
and
lot
take
from Michelle,
pictures,
and
especially
anytime,
that. Like
and
I've
learn
made
how
a
to be
mistake.
more
That's really good
bootstrappy
advice.
myself,
I've made the
but
mistake of
it's
spending
amazing
money
having a
outsourcing
friend
a
that's
couple of
going
things
on
that
the
I'm
journey
not
with
super
you.
happy with the results.
Likewise.
And I feel like I
Thank
could
you
have
for being on the
just
podcast.
done
Thanks for
certain
having me.
things
Better
myself.
yourself.
But yeah,
And
it
for anybody
hurts
listening,
because,
you guys are
every dollar counts
amazing.
when you're so
You can
small.
literally do anything that you set your mind to. Michelle and I were
that's extremely
not
extremely
entrepreneurs
good
years
advice.
ago, and
I have
today
a lot
we
to learn
are.
from you. I'm
And
excited
I'm
to
very
come over
proud
to your
of
place and
both
take
of us.
pictures.
I'm proud of you too.
anytime.
and learn how to be more
Yeah,
listening.
bootstrapping
Make sure
myself,
you
but
check us out
it's
at
amazing
the
having a
journey.
friend
Take the
that's going on
journey.
the journey with you.
Likewise.
Take the
Thank you for being on the
journey.co
podcast.
and
Thanks for
apply to
having
become a
me. It was so
member.
fun.
But yeah,
For
we have
anybody
an awesome
listening, you
event
guys are
coming up soon
amazing.
in March.
You can
More
literally
details
do
on the
anything
site
that you
and
set
on
your
our
mind to.
LinkedIn.
Michelle and I
So,
were
that's it. Thank you so much
not
for listening.
entrepreneurs years ago, and
Thanks,
today we
Michelle.
are.
Thanks.
And I'm very
Bye,
proud of
Bye.
both of us.
I know, I'm proud of you too.
Thank you. But yeah, if you're listening, make sure you check us out at takethejourney.co and apply to become a member. We have an awesome event coming up soon in March. More details on the site and on our LinkedIn. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.